Good morning. I'm the Reverend Dr. William L. Johnson III here with our morning meditation. What a joy it is to be able to share these messages of inspiration and encouragement that I hope will travel with you as you go through the course of your day, the course of your week, and maybe perhaps even the course of your life. I hope that you're able to hold on to these messages because I think they serve me and I think they will serve you greatly in your navigating the intersections of life if you try to deal with the concerns that come our way. Well, today's morning meditation is exciting for me to share, and I want to share these words that I borrowed from a book by Maya Angelou as she wrote letters to her daughter. This one is entitled Incident, Accident, Coincidence, or Answered Prayer. I'll repeat it. Incident, accident, coincidence, or answered prayer. You know, there are moments in our lives that happen to us at the intersections of life. Just like driving a car, we all come to a place where in which we are intersecting with other people, other things, other activities, and it meets at a point where decisions have to be made. Things transpire in those moments at the intersection, and we are changed from what happens. Either we are stuck there or we have to cross over the intersection to find out what's beyond where we have been. And some activities, some events in our lives happen to us and happen with us that challenge us to have to ask some questions. Was this simply an incident? What was it that happened? And you have to define what that thing is. Was it an accident? Was it intended to happen? Should this have happened? Did someone make a mistake that brought us to this place? Did I make a mistake? Did family or friends or a stranger make a mistake? Did God make a mistake? Or is this a coincidence? It just so happened that two things met at the same place at the same time, or several things met at the same place or the same time, and we have to navigate through it. Or is this an answered prayer? Is this the result of my petition to God about a concern or a challenge that I have right now? And that God is bringing this moment, this event, to bring me to the place to channel me to answer those prayers that I've lifted before God. Well, I'm not quite sure about how things have happened in your life, but there have been moments in mine in which I've had to ask this question time and time again, depending on the circumstances. I have to examine the incident. What happened here? Really, for what it is, not what I think happened, not what someone told me happened, not what I overheard by rumor or conjecture, but what is really on the ground, not my past feelings from the past experiences I've had, nor the hopes and dreams of what I hope might happen, and analyzing that in that context. But what is it that has really happened here? There are moments in which we have found that we have overheard what someone said, but we have to really examine what really was said. Or we thought we heard the rumor of something that was done, but we have to examine more closely about what really happened there. And even in our own lives, when we were very much present, we have to pull back away from it just long enough to examine what really happened here. And in those moments, the following questions do happen. They do come up for us. Was this an accident? I mean, did they really mean to say that? Or did they really mean to do that? Or did I really mean to have that? Or was there something else driving me to move to that decision or that choice or that action? But then we have to ask ourselves, my friends, about what it is all of this means. She tells a story in the book about a young woman being herself who's going through this moment in which she found herself thinking that she was in a relationship and ended up in a dire situation. And the only way that she would escape with her life was for something to intervene, some intersection or some confluence of ideas and persons and challenges and choices that would make the difference for her life. And while they're suffering, wondering whether or not she will be able to survive the moment, some things happen that seem to be miraculous. Now, what those things were, she doesn't know whether it was just an incident, an accident, a coincidence, or an answered prayer. And perhaps you're at that place in your life where there have been some events that have happened in your life. that some changes have happened. Maybe a job and a career goal, a job that you wanted to have, you were pursuing and you did not get the promotion you were looking for. Or maybe the loss of a loved one that you embraced and became a source of wisdom, and now they're taken away suddenly, and you don't really have the ability to connect. And you ask questions, what does this mean? Or maybe perhaps you have fallen in love with someone who may not love you, or vice versa, someone who loves you, but you may not love them back. What was this about? Was it important for you to be able to analyze the incident, the event? Was it an accident? Was it a coincidence? Or was it an answered prayer? People often use the term something dropped in my spirit, or I kind of came to this revelation. I had an epiphany. And the real question for us is what does it all mean? Well, I don't know if I have answers for you here, but what I do know is that asking the questions are really important, because the more you ask, the more you sit with it, the questions then breed their own answers. That we come and discover that in the midst of all that we have endured, for me, I believe much of what happens to me is not just an incident, and it wasn't just a coincidence, and sometimes really not an accident, although the intentions of an accident matter. But maybe, just maybe, these are all answered prayers. And not the prayers of our prayers, but maybe the prayers of those who've gone on before us, or loved ones and friends who have talked to God and said that there must be a change. And they may just be answers to prayers that you have long forgotten. you know, one day I thought I would be able to play in the NBA, but that didn't happen. And maybe, just maybe, that circumstances happened so that it would not lead me in the path that I would go, but move me in another path that I should go in. Maybe the relationships that didn't happen, that didn't work, are blessings in disguise. Maybe you wouldn't be the person that you are now if you had not traveled that road, or had that experience, or had that broken heart, or experienced those broken dreams, or to find and discover that you're so glad that the guy from high school or the late girl from high school didn't become your wife or husband, even though you crushed up on them so deeply. And now you look back and say, I am so glad that I didn't do that. Maybe perhaps you wanted to go in a career path that did not go the way you wanted or planned, and now you're doing exactly what you know you should have been doing all along. Whatever it is, ask the questions. Is this incident, this event, an accident, a coincidence, or is it an answered prayer? I tend to believe that the more we pray, the more it becomes clear which one of those it is. And I'm hoping that you have this time to develop and reflect upon what events in your life are happening to you, or happening with you, or happening for you. When you ask these questions, it becomes clearer that life takes you on a trajectory that might lead you to the better you that you're going to be. And sometimes it doesn't end up taking us on the trajectory that we would want, but God knows it happens the way we need it. So I'm hoping that these words of encouragement and inspiration remind you that the things that happen in our lives, even though they seem traumatic, and some of them quite are, and some of them are downright difficult to manage, but over time, when you ask the question, is this incident an accident, a coincidence, or God, are you answering prayer? You might get answers that you might not have wanted, but there'll be answers just the same. And I think that we will be better people as we ask these questions about the moments in our lives. What happened when I would have gone there? Or what would have happened if I had done something different? Are all questions that we all have. But when we think about it, it'll make us appreciate the journey that we're on all the more. Well, that's our morning meditation. I want to encourage you to trust God as you go, and know that when you pray, sometimes some of the things that have happened, even in events, have brought about not some accident, happenstance, or some coincidence that happened to happen, but maybe, just maybe, it is an answered prayer. Maybe not yours directly, but the prayers of others who have cared for you and loved you along the way. Have a great day. Have a great life. and have a great week indeed, and have a great life. God bless you. We hope that you find strength in these words and find encouragement along the way.